Good evening, mates. My name is Praxidis Lydia. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Kindly subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Our topic today is about lactose intolerance. Lactose intolerance is the inability to fully metabolize lactose, that is the sugar in milk. As a result, people suffer from symptoms such as diarrhea, gas, nausea, bloating, and stomach cramps after eating or drinking dairy products. These symptoms usually occur after 30 minutes to 2 hours of consuming dairy products. Lactose intolerance is usually harmless, but its symptoms can be very uncomfortable. Lactose intolerance usually occurs when your small intestines doesn't produce enough of an enzyme called lactase to digest milk sugar, that is lactose. You can have low levels of lactase but still be able to digest milk products. But if your levels are too low, you become lactose intolerant and you start getting the symptoms after eating or consuming dairy products. Normally, lactase turns milk sugar into two simple sugars, that is, glucose and galactose, which are absorbed into the bloodstream through the intestinal lining. If you are lactase deficient, the lactose from your food moves into the colon without being processed or absorbed. In the colon, the normal bacteria will interact with the undigested lactose, leading to the signs and symptoms of lactose intolerance. There are three types of lactose intolerance. Different factors of lactose deficiency. There are different factors of lactose deficiency underlying each type. The first one is the primary lactose intolerance. This is the most common. Infants usually, people who develop primary lactose intolerance start life producing enough lactase. Infants who depend on nutrition Infants whose nutrition depends fully on milk, they need lactase. In primary lactose intolerance, as children replace milk with other foods, the level of lactase drops, but it usually remains high enough to be able to digest dairy in a typical adult diet. But here in primary lactose intolerance, the lactase levels usually drops sharply into adulthood, making it difficult to be able to digest dairy products, thus being lactose intolerant. The second type is the secondary lactose intolerance. In secondary lactose intolerance, this form of lactose intolerance occurs when your small intestines decreases lactase production after an injury, illness, or surgery to your small intestines. Diseases associated with secondary lactose intolerance include intestinal infections, bacterial overgrowth, celiac disease, and Crohn's disease. Treatment of the underlying factors usually improves the signs and symptoms, though it might take time. Yeah, it might take time. The third type of lactose intolerance is the congenital or the developmental lactose intolerance. This is possible but very rare for babies to be born with lactose intolerance caused by a lack of lactase. This disorder is usually passed from generation to generation in a pattern of inheritance called autosomal recessive, meaning both the father and the mother must carry the same gene variant for the baby to be affected. Premature infants can also have lactose intolerance due to insufficient lactase levels. There are risk factors for lactose intolerance. Increasing age is usually common among adults. Ethnicity, lactose intolerance is usually common among Africans, Asians, Indian, and American descent. There is also premature birth. The infant's small intestines is not always, doesn't usually develop, doesn't usually produce the lactase cells, and until after the third trimester. Yeah, before the baby reaches the third trimester, the lactase producing cells are not usually fully developed. Yeah. Certain cancer treatments, such as radiation therapy for stomach cancer or intestinal complications as a result of chemotherapy, increases the risk of lactose intolerance. And lastly, diseases affecting the small intestines, such as celiac disease, yeah, increases the risk of lactose intolerance. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. You can add more on it or deduct. Yeah. I know you know better, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and let's catch up in the next video. Adios.